let's explore the Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism. So we've already taken a look at the foundational teachings of Siddhartha after he awakens and becomes the Buddha. He said there are four noble truths. First, life is dissatisfying, and so we suffer. And this dissatisfaction is referred to as dukkha. And there's all sorts of examples of the ways in which we suffer. He also concludes that suffering has a cause, and that we can know that cause. And the cause is our cravings, what the Buddhists refer to as tanha. It's those desires that we cling to, and we want it when we want it, how we want it, when we want it, the way we want it, the way we think it should be. And this causes our suffering because we often don't get what we want under the conditions we want. Now, here's what Siddhartha tells us. There is a way out. Yes, there's a way out. And the way out is what we're going to look at today, which is the fourth noble truth, the Noble Eightfold Path. This is referred to as the middle way. This is the way of walking between fulfilling or going after excess and looking for all of our desires to be fulfilled. And the other side being not taking care of ourselves, trying to deny ourselves. Okay, so let's take a look at the Noble Eightfold Path. This is an image that Kira Young painted last year or in the year 2020 for her final project. Gorgeous representation of the 8 steps on this Noble Eightfold Path. So the first step are right views. These are like the intellectual understanding about the way things are and what this world is like and what our relationship to the world is and how we should be in the world. We want to look for what is objectively true. For Siddhartha, the Four Noble Truths are like foundational pieces, the core understanding of what is true. And so we try to align our own views of the world and of ourselves in relationship to the whole in ways that are objectively true, rather than allowing ourselves to be misled. So the second noble truth, right intent. What is it that you really, really want? What's your deepest desire? And then you pursue this. Once you've identified what your deepest desire is, you pursue this with a single-mindedness. Now, what you might find is that what you thought was your deepest desire ends up not being your deepest desire. You find something even beneath that, even more foundational to that. But you pursue that. You pursue that with this single-mindedness, even as most of us will have to focus on our daily life stuff, what Buddhists and Taoists refer to as the 10,000 things. So we need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to shop for our groceries, we need to cook, we need to clean the toilets. These are the 10,000 things that we have to do. And even as we are doing those things, we can focus on our deepest desire and find that through the pursuit of these basic things, we are actually on the path. We are actually in alignment with our intent. And if we are not, then perhaps we need to question whether we should be doing this particular thing. So the third noble truth is right speech. We speak honestly, we speak truthfully always. But we also speak that truth with compassion, with loving kindness, because being human is hard. Now, I bet a lot of you have told hard truths to people that you love. This is what friends do for each other. People who care about each other are willing, as we see James Baldwin say, the role of the artist is exactly the same as the role of the lover. If I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you don't see. This is what people who love each other do for each other. And it's hard to hear sometimes what our friends and our beloved ones tell us when we're off track or we're doing something that is dishonest or is hurtful. So we tell people what we see, but we do it with loving kindness. Fourth noble truth is right conduct. This is how we relate to other people in the world. Now, if fundamental to the Buddhist understanding of the world is that everything is one. And so whatever I'm doing to you, I'm doing to me. So it doesn't make sense that I would do harm to you because I'm ultimately doing harm to me. Additionally, it doesn't make sense that I would do harm to my own self because since you and I are one, if I harm my own self, then I'm harming you as well. I'm harming the whole of this life, right? And so we want to conduct ourselves in ways that are rooted in loving kindness, rooted in compassion, and that are wise. Now, if we see that we are doing things that are hurtful, then we want to understand our behavior objectively before we try to change our behavior. Because we could change our behavior, but if we don't really understand what our behavior is rooted in, then we might just cause all sorts of new problems. So we want to be aware of, build self-awareness so that we conduct ourselves in ways that are increasingly selfless and loving. Fifth noble truth, right livelihood. How do you spend so much of your life energy when you are working? Now, some people will choose to join a monastic order. They'll become monks and nuns. But most people who are Buddhist actually continue living the life of the ordinary human being. They deal with the 10,000 things that you and I do in our daily lives. So as they work in the world, they pick occupations that promote life, that create life, sustain life. They avoid those tasks and those works, those careers perhaps, that make life more difficult for people or that are actually destructive of life. So we need to be aware of what it is we're doing and does it promote life. Also, we need to remember that we work in order to live our life. Our work is not meant to become our life. So right livelihood. Sixth noble truth is right effort. Putting in the right effort to pursuing our deepest desire. So according to the Buddha, you can escape misery only by earnestly and steadily thinking of the way. And listen, folks, this is not a race. This is not a race. Be patient with yourselves. Be loving with yourselves. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to take paths that end up being something that is not in alignment with your intention. Be patient with yourself. And just keep working on this steadily. Next, right mindfulness. This is the seventh of the step on the Noble Eightfold Path. Self-awareness is key to waking up, to becoming a Buddha, to becoming a Bodhisattva. We need to understand ourselves. And then constantly, as we understand ourselves, begin to shift our behaviors, our conduct, so that it's in alignment with our intention. Take time to pay attention, not just to what's going on out there, which is great, because that's a part of us too, but paying attention to what's going on here. Take the time. And then finally, the eighth step on the Noble Eightfold Path is right concentration. We're focusing on nirvana, which is our goal, this awakening to our true nature, and that when we focus on that, the more we concentrate on the path, then these delusions that we have about the way things are and about who we are and about who each of us is in relationship to each other, our cravings which keep us suffering, and then the hostility or violence that we experience in relationships with others and that we do to our own selves, this will become extinguished the more that we concentrate. And once we have fulfilled each of these steps on the Noble Eightfold Path, we will experience nirvana. Nirvana is perhaps a way of understanding it as a state of consciousness, a state of mind in which we are aware of, fully aware of, not just in our minds, but in our whole being, our true nature, which is oneness with all things. And that is so beautiful. And that is so blissful to be finally in our true nature, that we are able to handle the difficulties of life, all of those 10,000 things. They don't have to knock us off our path. We are able to experience bliss, peace, contentment, even in the midst of difficulty. So this is our goal. And the Noble Eightfold Path is what helps us to release our tanha, our cravings, so that we no longer experience dukkha, dissatisfaction, and suffering. So that's the Noble Eightfold Path.